Hey guys, it's Frank from Altcoin Buzz, and man oh man am I pumped. I'm coming to you here from sunny Bali, but the reason I'm pumped is because of altcoins. I'm crazy about altcoins. That's how I made most of my money in the 2017 bull run, and I suspect that's how I will make most of my money in this bull run as well. You know, I like to trade, I like to look at charts to try and sort of get into interesting plays, but really altcoins is where it's at, where you can make the serious gains. So today we're going to look at some altcoins which I think might potentially still be undervalued, which, you know, we talked about before, which went up a lot and then retraced a fair bit. Those include ShareToken over here. UniTrade is kind of a different play. It's at previous all-time high right now. I think it might be about to break out into a new all-time high. TrustSwap, of course, we've been talking about long before it was anywhere close to this price. It has now retraced a fair bit. 34.4% discount on TrustSwap. And they, of course, have Chain Games, which is their ILO, their first initial liquidity offering. We'll be having a look at that. I personally think this is worth a punt. And then finally, of course, xDai stake, which has been going absolutely nuts the past few weeks. We recommended this long before it was anywhere close to this price as well. We're going to see if that still has potential for growth. And finally, we will look at some of the altcoins that we recommended from a long time ago and see how they have performed so far. Guys, I don't know if you've been following any of our calls. Okay, they're not really calls. We certainly don't offer financial advice, obviously. But guys, we don't just bring up coins randomly. You know, we have a team of people researching these, especially Shash, who has made a decent amount of money recently. Not going to say any numbers. But not only that, but you know, he's really well connected. I don't think you guys appreciate how many people he knows, how much time he spends just talking to all the team members of these projects, comparing them. He really is the most experienced low cap to medium cap investor that I know in general in cryptocurrency. It's really exciting just for me to be in this space working with him. And you know, we made a video about low cap altcoins to buy just when I got started. I think it was in May. If you enjoy this content and want to see more of it, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification button, as it really helps to support the channel. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that I am not a financial advisor and that trading and investing presents financial risks. Okay guys, so here is that article where we talked about these low cap gems, which we had recommended in April 2020, and we did a review to see how they had done. And I was, you know, kicking myself in the knees that I hadn't bought these. So the coins that we had here, and remember this was April, all right? We talked about uptrend that has just absolutely, it went up 500% in a day. Sharing, I made solid profits on this, although even with this I got in a little bit late, but this has gone up absolutely immensely. We're going to talk about sharing today because that has some really interesting price action. Telor I didn't get into, but even this price performance against Bitcoin, 148%. We had Wabi, which had only 3.5%. Of course, they can't all be winners, right? But even that, I mean, you're beating Bitcoin. Like, what more do you want? SNTVT had 237% gain against Bitcoin. SafeX Cash was the only bad call from here. This had 48% dump. I haven't looked into why that is. But, you know, the thing is, guys, these are low caps. These are high risk. You know, they can drop a lot. But, you know, if you get into 10 of them, and let's say even 5 of them drop by half, all right? Let's say you put $100 into 10 low cap altcoins. 5 of them go from $100 to $50. All right, so that's 500 turned into 250. But what if just one of the other 5 does a 10x? And then let's just assume that the other 4 simply stay stable. So then you have 5 which are worth $50, that's 250. You have 4 which are worth 100, that's 400. 250 plus 400 is 650. And that one coin which did a 10x is worth 1,000. So all of a sudden you have 1,650. And like, it's just insane. And if you know the right kind of coins to get into, you know, if you're taking recommendations based on what you understand and also from people who you respect and, you know, you think know what they're doing, then, you know, it's a really easy way to make like really sick gains. Seriously, guys. And anyway, SafeX Cash minus 44.8%. This was the only real bad performer from this list. SHA SafeHaven, that is just absolutely nuts. I mean, we only recorded a 750% gain, but guys, SHA has gone up even more recently. That's just insane. Curio went up 382%. So the final takeaway here, guys, if you had have bought just $100 of every coin we recommended, costing you $800, you would now have $753. That would have translated into almost a 500% gain. You know, when I edited this article, I was like, okay, this is enough. Like, okay, Bitcoin might not be in a bull market yet. Actually, it was shortly after this that Bitcoin did break 10.5K, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to start getting heavily invested into altcoins again. And I did, and this has led to my portfolio just blowing up over the past couple of weeks. You know, I thought I got in a little bit late into TrustSwap. I thought I got in a little bit late into Effect, into SafeHaven, but they've all just done incredibly well recently. So now are such exciting times, you know. It really is just a great time to be in crypto. And it's a wild ride. It's not for everyone to get into these low caps, you know. They have massive swings, and you know, you're often buying something and you're like, what? No one is talking about it, you know, because it's a really small cap, you know, it's not on anyone's radar. But then if it's got a solid project, a solid team, if they have a big vision, if they have good marketing, if they have great tech, if they're solving a problem which people really need to be solved, you know, even if they only have a 20% chance of solving that, like sometimes that can translate into a 10, 20, 30x. I mean, I know Shash, of course, who, by the way, SafeHaven was named after. You know, SHA, our CEO, is called Shash. Yeah, that's what he told me. When he first told me that, I was like, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they name their coin? He's like, yeah, no, I know the founder. You know, we work well together. I like him. You know, he's a dear old friend of mine. I'm like, come on, no way. And he's like, yeah, no, we just get on really well. It's like, okay, whatever. And he's like, gotcha. And I'm like, of course it wasn't named after him. But anyway, Shash, where were we? Yeah, so Shash got into this at 2 sats. So if we just look at the chart here, 2 sats, this was back in April, May that it was at 2 sats. Right now, this is at 55 sats, guys. I mean, you know, as I say, you just need to get in a little bit before, and even, you know, I got into Shash, no, I got into SafeHaven around July, I think it was end of July. And, you know, I saw a consolidation, I saw a retracement. I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm probably late to the party, but whatever, I'll just pick up a little bit. And that little bit has done like a 4x for me since then. You know, I've been taking profits, you know, all the way on the way up, but it's just really exciting time to be in crypto right now. And, you know, SafeHaven, they have so many different products. It's really interesting what they're doing with SafeKey, with Inherity, and the whole other range of products which we've been talking about from their project. And then look at this, guys, 5 altcoins with massive potential from our channel. If you're not subscribed to our channel, I don't know what you guys are doing, because like we're giving amazing calls here. Okay, it's not financial advice. You shouldn't do what we do just because we are doing it. You shouldn't buy what we buy just because we are buying it. You should look into these. And you know, this is the general advice which is always given. I have a slightly more controversial perspective on this, which you may or may not agree with. But that is that, you know, I don't have time to look at every single cryptocurrency. I don't have time to go into detail into all of them. Of course, I do sometimes, and I really enjoy doing it sometimes, but it's just impossible to look at everything. So what I do is I look for people. I trust my intuition on people, right? So I look at people, I look at how they think, I ask them questions. Like if I can ask someone a lot of questions and be very critical about something, and they can still give good answers, I'm like, okay, this person probably knows what they're talking about. And if they make a recommendation, then I figure it's probably not a bad idea just to get a little bit of it, you know, even if I don't fully understand it. And that is what happened, to be perfectly honest, with a couple of these cryptocurrencies. I wasn't fully aware of what their potential was, of exactly why they had so much potential. But, you know, I just trusted my gut with the person who I was talking to, which in this case was Shash. And I just bought a little bit, you know, enough that I could afford to lose. And then when I started to get to know the project better, with some of them, I decided to buy a little bit more. You know, I like to look at charts. If something is pulled back, if it's in a consolidation zone, then I'm like, okay, maybe now's a good time to get in. And, you know, it's been really exciting getting to know more and more detail about these projects, like xDai Stake, for example. At the beginning, I was like, well, it's just a payment system. What's so revolutionary about that? But then I talked with Shash, and I mentioned this in the video before, why this really does have insane potential. And, you know, then I got a bit more. And, you know, Stake, I've made an absolute killing on this. So when it comes to Stake, we talked about it in our news segment, Matty did. And I also mentioned the benefits of Stake and what it is trying to achieve in one of our previous videos. So in this particular segment, I'm just going to talk to you about where I got in and how I managed my trade. So I got in approximately, actually it was on the 6th of August, I think here. You can actually see my buys here, but my face is blocking the actual time when I bought. I only bought about 500 bucks worth. I think I bought, yeah, that's right, I bought another 150 bucks worth on Uniswap. And I bought about 500 bucks worth here. You can see I got in at 3.5. And actually, when it went up by about 30%, I sold a little bit just so that I could get more into swap, which also did really well. It didn't do quite as well as stake, but there you go. You know, I was selling into profit. I was just a tiny bit. But then I only really started selling when we had this big move up over here, when we got to 10.8. You know, that seemed a little bit too much, a little bit too fast. So I got out a bit there. After we'd corrected, I got out a little bit more. I was a little bit uncomfortable with the risk. But again, I sold just tiny percentages. You know, I got about 150. I sold about 30 here. I sold 10, 5. You know, I'm only selling tiny amounts when we make these big gains. I bought back a little bit actually at this 7.83 level. That's when I made the video, guys. This was just a few days ago. I said, like, this is either going to be a really good time to buy or maybe we'll have another leg down. But, you know, this was the 618 retracement using the Fibonacci tool over here. I won't do it again. But yeah, basically this was a very good time to buy. I kind of regret not having bought more, but you know, I still had a decent amount. The key thing is to not sell everything. You're never going to sell everything at the exact top. That just doesn't happen, you know, don't expect that to happen. But yeah, in any case, I bought a tiny bit back here, 5 over here, and then I started selling very slowly as we got to the 12. As we approached this previous resistance, I started slowly selling. And again, it's not rocket science. You know, when it goes up a lot, you sell a little bit, but that's the thing. Be careful not to sell too much, all right? Like, there's really no science to this in the sense that, you know, you can't exactly get the top. You can use a range of indicators to kind of hope that you're getting most of the top, but it's very hard to do so. So in any case, I sold, and look at this, you know, I sold at 12.19, 11.8, 12.8, then I started buying back when we came down. You know, we had a sort of 20, 30% retracement, 10.6, 10.7, 10.06. Okay, and now, of course, more recently, I have, well, actually, I had one trade over here where I was trying to sell. I was assuming that we would not break this high over here at sort of 14.3. I had stop loss buys at 15 and 16, and, you know, this didn't work out, this trade. I sold 40 over here in total. This was actually my stop buy. So I sold 40 at sort of 12.9, 13.47, 13.439. That was just sort of at this previous high. I thought it was a bit unlikely that we break it because we had made such a big move so quickly. And this trade was not the best because I did get stopped out. However, I got stopped out at 15.01, I bought in at 15.1, bought in at 16.1, and you know, we went up again, and now I've sold what I bought over there. And I think $20 is a nice round number. You know, Chainlink found its top at $20, Bitcoin found its top at $20,000, OMG almost reached $10. When things are going parabolic and you have almost no way of figuring out where the top is, this is a potential top. And now I've sold everything which I have on this account, but of course I have more on Uniswap, which I didn't sell at all since the very beginning. So, you know, that what I have on Uniswap, I bought about the same price, $3.5, you know, that's gone up 400%. So that's basically how you can play it, you know. You can try and do trades in the middle, but, you know, they won't always work out. The general right thing to do is to sell when it goes up. You know, if it corrects a fair bit, why not buy some more? If it goes up, sell a bit. And of course, the other important thing to consider is what percentage of your portfolio it is, right? So for me, stake was reaching, I think, almost 10% of my portfolio at one point. And so I decided to sell a bit. And then, you know, when it went down, I decided to buy a bit more. It's just pretty much the way it is. And the thing about stake is that right now they are in the Reddit scaling bake-off. And as you can see, they are here, xDai and Splunk. Now, if they win this, like, of course, the price will just 5x. It'll go absolutely nuts. It's pretty certain that we will have a massive pump if that happens. Of course, if they don't, you know, it's quite possible people are speculating that they might win. You know, and of course, there's a lot of other competitors here. Then it's quite possible the price will dump here. Now, what's a little bit scary about stake right now is that the volume has seriously tampered off since the 17th of August. You can see we had a lot of volume before, a lot of interest, and now it seems like there's not many sellers here. So when people buy, the price just goes up like crazy and there's not really much back and forth action. So that, of course, gives less credibility to this move up. Now, if we have a look at the RSI, it also does not look great on the 4-hour time frame. Let's put this in green so you guys can see it. Look what we're seeing here. We're seeing lower lows on the RSI, okay? Draw this with a trend line here. For some reason you can't see it. There we go. So lower lows on the RSI over here, and we have higher highs in price. So not the best sign, But as I say, you know, if they win the scaling bake-off, then of course it will just go mental, and RSI and all this won't mean anything. I personally would like to see a retracement at least to the sort of 14.46 sort of level before I get back in. But you know, it's not impossible that we see a bigger retracement than that. But the important lesson here is that you don't really know, right? There's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of uncertainty, so you don't want to use TA to get in and out of all your positions. You really want to do it more based on what percentage of your portfolio it is, and of course what fundamentals might be at stake. No pun intended, of course. Okay, so this video is going to get really long if I go into too much detail, but TrustSwap here is another interesting one. Let's have a look at that chart. So TrustSwap is a similar story for me. I got in about $0.5 before this big move up, and I started taking profits. But anyway, I'm not going to go into detail about my positions there. I just want to tell you about this structure that is formed. So first of all, let's just get rid of this so you can see what happened. You know, first of all, we had this parallel channel going up here. Let me just draw this a bit darker so you can see it. We had this parallel channel going up here. Now, of course, this is a very steep parallel channel. It was unlikely that it would hold for much longer. So we did eventually break it, and then we entered this pullback zone. So I have personally been buying quite heavily around the $1 level. I even got some orders filled at 0.91. And I'm really not intending on selling until at the very least we get close to the previous high. You know, that's going to be about a 60% move up. Now, admittedly, we are very close to an important support. And, you know, while it can be scary because, you know, we could be very close to breaking it. Let's just put it around here, 0.95. You know, if we have a close below this level, it is going to be scary. But that being said, it reminds me so much of stake. Remember with stake, I was telling you, you know, we have a retracement here. It's exactly the same scenario. Let's have a look at this. So we do a fib-based retracement for this whole big move up. And you can see, lo and behold, we're at the 618. And of course, we've come down to test it several times. So it does mean that, you know, the more times we test it, the weaker this support becomes. But conversely, it also means that you have a very good risk to reward. Now, I'm personally not going to stop out of this trade. I don't want to take the risk of this trade not working, largely because you have these massive wicks, which can often get your stops taken out. And TA doesn't work quite as well, especially for stop losses for these types of trades, because of these massive wicks. But theoretically, you know, you could have a stop loss, you know, at sort of 8.5, and you're targeting this move up. This is a 3-to-1, but this is just the beginning. I'm not going to take all of my profit here. Really, what I'm looking for is another much bigger move up, a move similar to the move we already saw over here. So if we just do a Fibonacci extension, a trend-based fib extension of this previous wave, and we map that out to the bottom of this wave, and assume a 1-to-1, which is very reasonable. In fact, if this is the first wave and we see a third wave here, it could be even higher, but a 1-to-1 is conservative. That would give you a 5-to-1 risk to reward. So, you know, it's a very interesting time to get in. As I say, I've been buying. There was a lot of hype about Trust on the way up, and there's been a lot of good news as well on the way down. They have the initial liquidity offering with Chain Games. They have partnerships and lots of good news. You know, you just have to follow their Twitter channel. And it's all systems go, if you ask me, for TrustSwap. I don't think that it's very likely that we'll break below here. But, you know, it's up to you. You can make your decision with this. Now, I did say I'd go over a couple more coins. UniTrade, I'm just going to very briefly say, you know, I haven't talked to the team. I would like to get to know the team a bit better before I really, you know, shill this or basically say you should buy it. But the reason I bought it, and again, this is just my personal opinion, I'm personally doing. I mentioned before, they have a roadmap. They're going to launch their platform on the 30th of September, or the end of September at least. The price performance has been pretty good. I got in at a retracement at about 0.5 cents. I got a bit more actually at 0.6 cents. I'm not going to sell until the end of September. I don't know if they will deliver. I'm certainly going to sell a lot of my position, if not all of it, at September. I think it's very likely there'll be a sell the news type of event. That being said, if the platform is amazing and people are just immediately impressed, it's quite possible that it won't dump that much and keep on going up. So that's UniTrade and my play with that. Now, in terms of ShareToken SHR, you know, it's so funny. When it's going up, everyone's talking about it like, oh, it's amazing, it's going to change the world. You know, they have partnerships, they have, you know, successful launches, all this stuff. And then when it starts retracing, all of a sudden people aren't talking about it. But like, guys, we've had a 49.2% retracement from this. We've been talking about sharing for a while. We did an interview with the founder. They have lots of good stuff coming up. I mentioned this in a previous video, all the recent news updates. I think it's just a matter of time before it starts pumping again. You can see the volume has decreased somewhat, but it's still pretty solid volume compared to, you know, the months before. the market cap, well, it doesn't show on CoinGecko, but on coinmarketcap.com, you can see the market cap is about 39 million. I think this easily has room to grow to a top 200 project at the very least. I think it's very likely that we will see these previous highs at some point. Now, of course, could we correct further? Yes, it's entirely possible. We might correct even more, but I think now is generally a good time to be laddering in a position. I sold most of my position, between the sort of 0.3 and the top, really, but I still kept a little bit because, as I say, if you believe in the project, unless it's done a freaking 100x or something, and even then, you never know how much higher it's going to go. It's always worthwhile to keep a certain amount of your portfolio, which is just like, a very stubborn long-term investment. Like, I'm not selling this basically ever because, I really believe in this. Or unless, there's some very strong signs that you should be selling, which there aren't, then, you pretty much hold on to it. So, I held on to a tiny bit at the top. Of course, that's decreased in value, but it was just a tiny bit. I haven't lost much. And yeah, I'm trying to move funds around. I want to buy more of this. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm waiting for my pay, actually, at the end of the month. Then I will buy some more ShareToken. So I think ShareToken is probably quite undervalued right now. I think TrustSwap is probably a good buy because of what I mentioned before. UniTrade is at its previous all-time high already. Maybe not the best entry point. That being said, if we break this previous all-time high, it could just go up quite quickly. And then finally, of course, let's talk about Chain Games. So Chain Games is the first ILO, or initial liquidity offering, from TrustSwap. Now, they have a very clean-looking website. I've checked out the video. They have this. Okay, so the CEO, Jeff Kerdakis, he made a video where he talked about this, and he said, what he's most excited about is the open dApp store and the integration with game studios. So basically what Chain Games do is that they offer games a way to give their players way to make wagers, or in other words, to bet on the outcome of games. So you can be playing with your friends and you each bet $1, for example, on who's going to win, and then the winner will actually take the money. So, it is a bit of a gambling platform, but of course the way that they defend it in terms of legality is that they say that they only do it with games of skill. They mention it below over here. Is that legal? I thought gambling was illegal in most jurisdictions. And he says Chain Games specifically targets wagering on games of skill, which is legal in most jurisdictions worldwide. Now, what concerns me personally is, okay, it is legal, but what if they find that a lot of people in, for example, Indonesia, where gambling is illegal, what if they find people here are using it and and they find out about the founders and stuff who have created this website? I don't know to what extent they would be liable. I'm not a lawyer. It's a little bit concerning, but the thing is, this for me is going to be like, I think there's very, very good chance that this will 2x, 3x, even 5x. It has initial market cap of 2.75 million. I think there's a lot of hype around TrustSwap right now. If you just go to trending searches, you can see TrustSwap is number 2 over here. This is their first ILO. I just think it's kind of a no-brainer to get into this one. Honestly, even regardless of fundamentals. But the fundamentals do look interesting. This definitely is a market. I used to be a professional poker player. I know the fun of, putting money into games and playing with friends or playing against strangers. And, if you really are good at what you do and you're good at your game and, you have the skills, oftentimes the people underestimate the amount of skill that you need for certain games. And so they just play it just for fun. But, the people who are skilled, they can really make money from this, and it can become a living for them, just as it did with me for poker. So I definitely see a business model which could work here. Of course, it's very early on, it's high risk, blah, blah, blah. It's not financial advice, but yeah, this is one which I want to get into. All right, guys, so that's been it for this video. Let me know what you thought. I really hope you guys are making money out here with us. Like, it's very exciting technology. I'm really happy to be in this space. And, some people say, oh, so it's just about the money. Well, no, of course it's not just about the money, but let's be honest, it's a great, the thing is, guys, yes, we are making money from this, and yes, it might be a bit sort of superficial. It's like, is it just about the money? But in reality, we're also contributing to the whole ecosystem of crypto. If we make a lot of money from crypto, we're more likely to invest in more cryptos. We're more likely to learn about it. We're more likely to talk about it. So it all goes around full circle. It's not a bad thing to make money by any means. And I really hope that you guys make a lot of money. I think that you will if you exercise proper bankroll risk management. And also, guys, we're planning on doing a subscription model where we will give out more detailed video, more detailed analyses on these coins, and where you'll be able to talk to Shash and, of course, myself as well, ask your questions about these cryptocurrencies and what we're doing with them and what our portfolios look like in more detail. So more to come on that in a bit. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys would be interested in getting more detailed analysis on these coins and why we're in them and when we're selling and how much we still have and all that. I personally really benefit a lot from talking to Shash about this. I think you guys would as well. So yeah, that's been it from me for today. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next one.